Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Two Pointers podcast. I'm Josh,
And I'm Trevor.
and today is a good day. We're on Trivia Showdown week 4, and it's all about the Charlotte Hornets. We would have done this every time if it was up to me, but Trevor said we had to do things that were different. Just kidding. But yeah, today should be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about my favorite team and the favorite team of these two other guys, and Trevor's going to tag along in his Buzz City shirt that he has for the ride.
Hold on,
We
excuse
appreciate
you.
his support.
Excuse you. I have 3 of them. I have more
Okay.
Hornet shirts than I do any other franchise other than my team. So, hey, the local team, local to us.
How many
I had
Knicks
to.
shirts do you have?
One. Okay, easy. I went to
Count
Madison Square Garden for the
jerseys.
first time.
Counting
2.
jerseys. Okay.
2.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to test if you were.
I'll do
sure.
a jersey update in the next couple of weeks whenever we're really bored before the season starts. So, but this is what's getting us through to the season start. Thanks for putting me on the last 30 seconds in, but I appreciate it. We'll go ahead and introduce these two. We have on, first of all, I'm going to introduce on my left here, Evan from Swarm and Sting. Evan, how are you?
Hey guys, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having us on. Really been looking forward to this ever since you reached out. Like you guys said, my name's Evan Birchmore. I currently serve as the site expert for Swarm and Sting, which is a Charlotte Hornets blog website. It's through the Fan-Sided Network. Write articles up there. You can check me out on Twitter. I'm at Evan Birchmore. Also run a Hornets-based podcast called the Bring the Sting podcast. That's also linked through my Twitter bio as well. Come out with weekly episodes, although I am shifting to twice a week episodes leading up until the season. Going to do a player preview series, just going down the rosters. So a little bit of a plug for the podcast there, but thank you guys for having us on. I've been really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I didn't say this earlier, but everything will be below. Everything will be when we tweet it out, when we put it on Instagram, all that stuff. That's nothing new. On my other side here, Evan, thank you. Really quick, though, before I introduce Darian, this is an awkward introduction. We talked about this pre-recording. I just wanted to get this out there for the listeners. So if you look up the Two Pointers podcast, or if you look up Bring the Sting on YouTube, my face pops up, and Evan's does. You're probably wondering why Josh is missing. Well, Josh couldn't be there because of scheduling, so I came on Evan's show, and that was our introduction to each other. So this is the fair thing to have everyone back together, do this the right way, and then, of course, and this is my segue to Darian, Darian from Trust the Buzz. How are you, my friend?
Hey, thank y'all for having me on. It's great to be here. My name is Darian Thomas. I have a YouTube channel called Trust the Buzz, TRUSTTHE and Buzz. And then you can also find me on Twitter where I like to talk about Hornets and just everything basketball. Trust the Buzz as well, but except instead of THE, it's DA because THE was taken. But once again, thank y'all for having me here, and I'm excited.
I can't fathom the fact that that was taken. That exact thing was taken. I tried to find it. It took me a minute.
I was
sure.
like, who else is trying to trust the Buzz? I don't know who.
Hey,
but-
quick 2 cents. I ran into the same issue. I created the Twitter page for Bring the Sting, and our Twitter handle for that is _Bring the Sting because Bring the Sting was taken, and the guy hasn't used his account in like 5 years.
Okay, so then look,
It's like
we
10
all have
followers.
beef. This is good.
Yeah.
So
He's
we
still
all have the
bringing
same
the
problem.
Sting with Kimba and Batum and Marvin.
Yeah,
That's what he's bringing the
oh
Sting with.
no, not.
I was like, man, it'd be one thing because I was like, oh, that's a pretty original name. I should be good. And
I should be
Nope.
good. Yeah, so look, glad that you two brought that up. I'm glad that you did. So we have the same beef. There's a guy on Instagram who is currently selling at 2 pointers. Now, 2 pointers is pretty generic. I get it. Like, Bring the Sting's pretty unique and Trust the Buzz is, right? At 2 pointers is currently being sold on Instagram for $1,100. You better believe I am not paying a dime for that. It is at the Two Pointers podcast on Instagram. That is our early Instagram plug. But yeah, so I'm glad that you all had the same problem in this process because when we started this almost 2 years ago, I was like, 2 pointers is really good. There's 2 of us, whatever, right? We went with it, had a good logo. Next thing you know, I'm like, no problem. We're gonna have no issues setting this up. That guy, literally, the Avi or whatever you call it, the profile picture is on sale, selling at for da-da-da. And I'm like, this is just stupid. Like, this is dumb. That should be illegal, in my opinion. But anyway, all right, Josh, without further ado, for those that might not be new here, now that we know who our guests are, introduce the format, a little bit about what we're doing here, maybe a little score update as well through now 4 weeks. The math doesn't add up because making that scoreboard update for me later is going to be really fun because I think there's already 7 people on it, and I'm going to have to figure out how to fit them on here. So it's going to be really great.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Josh.
There's 7 people on it, and then after this show, there will be nine people. on
Be a little
the
tight on
total
the score
scoreboard.
update.
So if you're listening to the first time of the show, the way the game will work, there will be 10 questions. 2 will be multiple choice. 8 of those will just be a free response without choices to answer the trivia question. Each of those questions is worth 1 point each for both of the players. They'll be writing down their answer, and then they'll take turns kind of revealing that answer of what they gave at the end of the time. At the end of the game, there will be a bonus round where there's a question with several potential answers, and both of our players will get 60 seconds to write down as many answers as they can. So currently, the way we have the scoring set up, I'm going to go from last to first from the scoreboard over the past 3 weeks. Last place, we have Grayson Hill.
I know why you went last.
I've
Grayson's
been
not gonna like
continually giving Trevor. I'm trying to give you a better chance to win next year because Grayson will just be mean to me.
Okay.
For you guys, Grayson helps me and Trevor do our like end of the year championship with our trivia game. And I've won the past 2. Not trying to throw anything at Trevor, but I'm trying to get Grayson to be harder on me to help him move forward. Grayson's in last with 5. Then Caleb Watkins, our resident Boston Celtics fan, at 7. Tyler James in with 8 points, followed by Ryan Hammer with 9. Alex Cervantes has 11. Second place, Nick Levere with 12. And in first place, Carl Heiser with 19. So 7 points separating first and second place. Carl managed to somehow study what we ended up picking as our bonus round question. I don't know how he predicted it, but he somehow predicted it ahead of time.
All right, man, let's get started. I'm excited.
So that's basically how the game will go. Do you guys have any questions before you start?
I think I'm good.
All right, solid. I think last week, Trevor, you and I set up the quiz where it started easier and then got harder. I think I've noticed all of the questions are kind of mixed here, so it's not like any easier at the beginning than it is at the end. So you never know how it's going to go. All right, question number 1. This is a question that's kind of going to go Price is Right style. So the closest to the number without going over is correct. If both of you end up going over on this number-based question, the closest will win. What is the total number of wins that the Charlotte Hornets have in franchise history? Total number of wins that the Hornets have in franchise history. This is counting back all the way to 1988. And they did not play in the years 02-03 or 03-04.
Not that they needed that hint, but for other people, they might need that hint. So thank you for reminding me and everyone else of that.
I just want to clarify because I've talked on the podcast a ton about how I don't recognize that team that went to New Orleans. But we're going to include them for the sake of today.
Sake of this not being a basically less than 20-year-old trivia.
Yeah, I mean, it really pins it down if you only use 18 years.
And to be fair, there is also not a timer except for on the finale. So just take your time. Obviously, we're going to feel a little bit here, but just take your time. Think about it. Talk out loud, too, like for our YouTube audience. They're going to see you. They're going to see your thought process, your gears turning, maybe your eye rolls, your struggles, maybe your fingers. You never know. But they're going to see all of that stuff. Obviously, for our Apple, Spotify, Google, etc. audience, they're going to be hearing you. So if you think you want to give something out loud that might not give the answer away, you can. Just talk us through it. It kind of helps people go, wonder how they came up with the answer that was 2,500 more than it should have been.
Is this including playoff victories as well?
Yes.
This
all
is
victories.
Total
Sweet.
victories.
That's a good one.
It's good clarifying questions. We will neither confirm nor deny things if we feel that it will be too easy. So that is a good question. You can ask questions if you'd like. They may or may not be answered. That is a good way to do this. Again, not supposed to, like we said every other episode, we'll say this now, supposed to be 3 things. A lot of fun today. It's supposed to be difficult, hopefully, except for Carl. And then it's supposed to be just all around. You guys are supposed to enjoy it. I already said that. What was my third thing? Forgot my own third thing. Either way.
So there's this one interesting thing, and I don't know. It might help Evan, it might not. But I remember seeing this graphic that Tim Duncan by himself has more wins than the Charlotte Hornet organization, not including playoffs. So
that hurts.
So I'm
Wait, hold
really
on.
kind of
Okay,
I'm pretty
you have
sure.
homework now because you're gonna find that graphic and you're gonna send it to me because
I'm
if
gonna see
it's
if I
right,
can.
it's gonna be right here on the screen.
No, and it's not just the Hornets. Like I know, like
I would
it's
believe it
fun
like
to
maybe since the Hornets
That's
like from
crazy.
'04 the expansion Bobcats on because Tim
maybe I need
Duncan's
to
played
look.
more seasons on more
True,
successful teams than
Right.
the
true.
'04
I
on.
might
Because I
need to
don't
look
think
at the
they
graphic.
ever, the Spurs, there was the stat, they never won less than 50 games.
Yeah.
And like even
Yeah,
the year the season was only 50 games, they obviously didn't win that many. But even like the most recent lockout, the 2012, I think it was
hmm
66 games, they still won 50. They were like
hmm
51 and 15 or whatever their
yeah.
record was. They got at least 50 wins that year as well, which is just like mind blowing.
It's the Spurs. It's the
Yeah.
Spurs are just they're not appreciated enough.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
To Spurs faithful, they are appreciated plenty. But yes, I would
True.
otherwise
Very
agree.
true.
I
Very
promise
true.
you, Spurs Twitter. I don't know how I ended up on it, but I am on Spurs Twitter for some reason, and they are quite the fan base, at least vocally. I would
They're
say,
Yeah.
tanking for Victor next season.
yeah.
If
Honestly,
if anyone was to turn Victor into some type of crazy superstar, it would be the
so
Spurs.
that's a good point. So funny you say that. I said this a few weeks ago to Josh because I'll reiterate this and then we can get the answer. So I've always said that if you're a Spurs reporter, person, podcaster, I don't care, whatever, right? There's probably only 6 of them that I fully trust because of just how tight knit that organization is and how like little information comes out.
Mhm.
And I don't remember who said it, but it was somebody I was like on the fence, like, yeah, okay, I could see it, whatever, right? And it was a quote from Pop. It was like a one-on-one interview. It was like, hey, basically he said that he feels youthful and rejoiced that they're kind of just resetting things and they're able to rebuild. The last time they did that, they got Tim Duncan first overall. Josh made a good point there. And also
Yep.
the last time he said that, it brought him back to his college days, whatever, and then he won a couple of big championships with like Cal Poly or wherever he was before. So
Yeah, I think it's
I
Pop
think we're
said
good.
something like, it feels a lot like my first year coaching. And I was like, the
Yeah.
summer after your first year coaching, you drafted Tim Duncan. So that's why it
Right.
feels like your first year coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had David Robinson coming
Yeah.
back off
Yeah.
injury,
Oh
which is a
yeah,
pretty
yep,
great,
Yep.
feather in your cap, I would say.
Mhm. All right. I think you guys both have answers written down. All right.
Unfortunately,
We You never know
I'm
how it'll go.
scared.
Never
We'll
know.
go first to Evan.
Okay, so I just need to like flip my notebook around to the camera and
Yeah, and you
Yep,
can also
that'd be
just
great.
say what your answer is.
okay, so I will show my work because I did a little bit of math here. I remember how to
Fantastic.
I haven't done
Yes.
multiplication since college. I came to a nice round number because we're trying to go under, if anything. Like we said, over you bust. So I got a nice even 1,200 wins in franchise history. The way I did that was
All of
I
that.
tried to consider the average number of wins
Yeah.
a season. Now, I might have been a little bit biased to the recent Hornets history, which hasn't been as good as the initial Hornets history, but I did this nice 32 wins a year, or rather 35 wins a year average,
Okay.
which I really don't know what the average wins per year has been.
That's a good
30,
que- that's a good
32
point.
seasons in franchise history, minus the years that were, when they weren't in the league. So you start at 1988, come up through 2022, and then take away the years they weren't in the league. At first, as you can see, the multiplication did not really work out, so I had to do it again over here because, as I said, don't really do multiplication every day, so we're a little bit rusty. But that got me to, what was it, 1,110. Nice round number, and then give or take for a little bit here and there, like a good season, and then plus since we're counting playoffs, haven't had that many only had 3 playoff wins since they came back to the league, but they did have some pretty good playoff runs earlier on in their history. So I thought 1,200, and I didn't want to go too high because I didn't want to go over. So that's how we got to that number.
All right. Darian?
All right, so for me, mine is way off compared to his. So my goal was I have 853. So my goal was to go as under as possible without going too under because I knew it couldn't have been too high. So, so I was like, all right, well, if I go under enough and we're doing closest, that should get me somewhere near it. Like Evan said, I think more so thinking about recent just hits, like at least since I've been around. I'm 26 years old. So I don't remember much of them even being good. Like I remember a time being in North Carolina and people are like, yeah, I'd rather watch LeBron than watch the Hornets play and things like that. So it was tough, but the goal was to go under. So I'm gonna go 853. And then also I talk about the whole Tim Duncan thing, which I know he has at least 1,000. So I'm assuming it's somewhere like it's probably in the like 1100s to be honest, but I'm going 853.
Okay.
All right, Josh, what is it?
Man, now you got me second. Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say he's got me second guessing myself now because man, they won 7 games one year.
That's what really I was thinking about. I was like, 7 is so low. even in the type of season that was, 7 is so low.
We're second guessing ourselves on question 1, Josh. I can't wait to find out what this is.
So,
all right, moment of truth.
Evan, you got closer to the correct number than Darian did. However, you were over by 74 wins. The correct answer 1,126.
Oh man, I should have
Since
just
you
left
went
it
over.
With
Darian got the correct
answer.
answer. Yeah, if you'd gone 11-10, you would have been under by only 16 and would have been incredibly accurate.
Yeah,
ridiculously accurate.
Dude, I'm telling you, the first time I did the multiplication, somehow I did 32 times 35, and as the answer, I got 246, which is like completely wrong. And I said that cannot be right.
Oh god!
And like I didn't carry the 0. I think I messed something up.
It's all right. Well, so what was you said something about an average wins per year. What was that number that you went with?
Yeah, so I just used 35 as the average wins per year.
I did the math.
Way too close to 500.
I did the math.
I think
he was off by 0.8. It was 34.12 average wins per 33 seasons.
That's the thing, because like they were good
insane.
throughout the 90s. Like they had some 50-win teams, so that bumps it up.
That's insane that was that close.
Yeah.
Woo! Okay.
Insanely close.
So, Evan, you did, honestly, incredible job. That was a really
amazing.
Answer. But Darian's going to be up 1-0 going through after the first question.
And the only reason is, with this team, I've just learned if you don't aim too high, you won't get hurt. That's kind of like, just kind of set the bar low.
Man, I don't know
you can actually enjoy the rest of your night.
I was talking to a buddy of mine recently, and like, again, I'm getting off topic here. I'm sorry, y'all. Like, you know those games where there'll be like a jar full of jelly beans or something. You have to guess how many are in the jar. I'm terrible at those because I always go way over.
Terrible.
And so this, I feel like, is like the basketball equivalent to that.
That is.
And I went over.
Of your favorite jar of jelly beans. All right. Yeah. Let's. Are you ready for question number 2?
Yes.
I thought the jar of jelly beans comment was a lot funnier than that. But anyway. All right. Question number 2. What player has the highest VORP? And it's okay if you don't know what VORP is. Value over replacement player in a single season in franchise history. One more time, and this is one of the 2 multiple choice questions, so I'll read the question one more time and then read the multiple choice twice while you're writing down answers and thinking. So what player has the highest VORP, value over replacement player, in a single season in franchise history? Is it A, Eddie Jones, B, Baron Davis, C, Kemba Walker, or D, Anthony Mason? Choices one more time are Eddie Jones, A, B, Baron Davis, C, Kemba Walker, or D, Anthony Mason. Josh, if you had told me that we were going to be doing math one question in before we even got to the VORP question, I would have told you were insane. I didn't think he was going to pull out the multiplication table. So this is fun. I'm already having a good time.
He was closer than I got. Yeah.
No, we went with the Price is Right style because somebody had to have, and it sucks because it's the first time we've actually, I don't think Josh said this, but it's the first time we've done that kind of format of a question. Yeah. So I kind of liked it. I was kind of like, somebody's got to get it right, somebody's got to get it wrong. I mean, it's just one of those things. So we're trying out experimental types of questions. That was the first try of that one. So let us know in the comments what you think about that. A, Eddie Jones, B, Baron Davis, C, Kemba Walker, or D, Anthony Mason.
No multiplication required to try to get an answer for this one, thankfully.
That's right.
Unless you remember like all the box scores in your
head. Yeah, just every box score.
That would be insane if you could just know all the box scores.
What's the people with like photographic memories? Is that what
Yeah.
I saw a video once. There was a kid.
I know exactly what you're doing. I know exactly what you're doing. I was about to say the same thing.
I think it was the Red Sox, the Boston Red Sox.
It was a Yankees fan.
Yankee, yeah. Yep. He knew like every score of every game, like ever, basically.
And every pitcher since 2008.
Yeah. They would just give him a date, like July 11th, 2005, and he would say, "Oh, they won this game, whatever." Like, dude, that's like they
That's the
play over
hardest sport to
100
do that
every
in.
year. Yeah,
Yeah.
By far.
that's insane.
He's like, yeah, they won
Dude,
4-3, and the pitcher was Roger Clemens. I'm like, what?
it's like that SpongeBob episode where his brain is just like breathing and fine dining.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
breathing and Yankees baseball scores. Like that has to be what it is.
Hopefully, that's y'all's brain for the Charlotte Hornets. Breathing in Charlotte Hornets. That's what we hope for this. Because
I
currently,
wish.
it's 1-0. So we're going to get there eventually. But
Did y'all see the video of the Rams, LA Rams head coach Sean McVay, where he was
oh,
able
yeah.
to like tell you like every play,
The
like
genius.
exactly like, oh, he caught it at this
Yeah,
yard
that
line and
guy's
went 15 yards and scored.
yeah.
Oh, he should
Insane.
know every play. I mean, like he probably agonized over every one of those play calls. He studied it over and over again.
Yeah, for his sake. So, all right. Do we have an answer A, B, C, or D? Are we ready?
Yes.
But I forgot the order of the letter. Like I just have a name written down. I
All right,
forgot.
that's
That's
fine.
fine
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
Okay.
those are totally fine. Yeah. All right. Go ahead. We'll flip a little bit. Go ahead first, Darian.
All right, so mine is C, which Kimber Walker.
Okay.
The reason I chose Kimber Walker was because those teams were so bad or average, at least the players around him, that if you took him off, that there was just not be anything. You know what I mean? You
Okay.
had guys like Jeremy Lin, and then you had the rough team that went 7-59 or whatever. So I had to go with C just because of the fact that those other teams they at least had some. And I'm not, and no disrespect to Al Jefferson. We all love Al Jefferson, but he wasn't the other guys that Baron Davis and Anthony Mason and Eddie Jones had on their team. So that's kind of what was my logic for that.
All right. Evan.
So I also went with Mr. Kimball Walker there for basically the exact same reason that Darian explained. Just the teams around, like it's over replacement players. So he just had to carry such a burden on those teams. Like probably Al
He did.
Jefferson was the best teammate he had, I would say. And Al Jefferson was really good, but he ended up kind of like having some injury problems near the end. Nick Batum was good for a little bit and then just kind of fell off. Real like Dwight Howard for 1 year was okay.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of just a bunch of other like, I mean, they weren't like terrible. Like they just weren't super like great number two options. So he just had to do so much. And those other teams with those other players, like they were all awesome players, but I just think like the teams were better overall. So for that reason,
All right. Well, so I did multiple choice on this for two reasons. One, I'll just go ahead and get out of the way. The incorrect answer is Kemba Walker. I figured that was going to be a popular answer choice. All time, Kemba Walker is the value over replacement player, but the key in this sentence was single season.
1 season.
Yep. And you would think he's actually 3 of the top 10. So to be fair, Kemba's a good answer. But they're actually in order from A to D. So number 1, the answer is Eddie Jones with 4.9. Baron Davis has 4.8. Kemba Walker is 4.4, and Anthony Mason is 4.3. So figured C was a good. I thought it was funny that Kemba was the obvious answer, and he fell right on the. If I don't know, I'm going to go with C. So I thought maybe somebody would go with that logic, but no, Eddie Jones.
Franchise history. So.
Yeah, exactly. Good choice. Yeah, it's funny that he fell right in that answer choice. So, but yeah, Eddie Jones, a player people might remember for the Lakers.
Which year was the highest Kimba VORP year? Do you have that?
I don't have the year. I think it was, and I can pull it up if I can find it fast enough. Basketball.
Oh
Reference.
Yeah, it's all good. Like, don't go out of the way or anything. I was just curious.
It's all right. We'll be filling time while you are writing down answers, so I'll probably be able to get it by then. So,
I'm
Josh,
curious too. But,
Josh is
yeah,
like, I'll look it up
Because
later.
like the 7-59 year would be one, but that was his rookie year. So like I was thinking maybe not that year, but they weren't that great. His second year they still weren't very good, and then from that point on they weren't like amazing, but they were never that bad ever again.
Yeah, I'm gonna predict it's 2017.
While y'all are going on to question 3, I will take care of that, Josh. Go right ahead.
Because that was the year that Batum and Williams, we signed them to big deals and they fell off completely.
Yeah.
And so Kimba just was trying to carry the team on his back for the whole season. But all right, move on to the next question. Score update still 1-0 for Darian. A lot of questions left to go. So third question. In NBA history, the rookie with the most three-pointers scored in his debut game is a Charlotte Hornet. Name that player.
This was good. Both of them wrote that down really, really quickly.
Well, I told you I thought they would remember this.
Well, and also too, the nice thing is that every episode there's one where people just immediately write it down.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, these are a good conglomerate of hard and easy questions. So I had a feeling this one might be on the easier side, but I'm going to go with. I believe we might already have lock-ins. Before you do that, the answer for Kimba, his best season was the 4.4 season for value over replacement, and it was 2018-19.
That was close.
So final season in Charlotte, I believe. If that
That was the year he was scoring 60 points, and they still couldn't win
And they
a
would
game
still lose.
against Philly.
Yep. His other
That
listings on here.
darn Jimmy
were-
Butler guy had to come and
Jimmy Buckets.
His
Jimmy
other
Buckets.
his other listings there were 2015-16 and 2016-17 and 17-18. So basically a 3-year run of just being the best value over replacement player. All right, I think we already have lock-ins, Josh. This is good.
Yeah, it's like answers are locked in. I'll go to Evan first.
All right. PJ Washington.
Okay.
Okay. Darian?
And I had PJ too.
They both got that one right. It is PJ Washington.
I remember that game because I actually was really big on Lowry marketing coming out of Arizona. So when
As
when
was
they
I.
played, I was like, oh, I want to see Lowry. You know, obviously, I was like, oh, this is going to be exciting. And then to see PJ would be the one to really light it up was that was crazy. And ever since then, I've been a big PJ fan. So
I'm glad someone
I got
else
the
was...
bobblehead right here.
It is.
Oh, there you go. See?
I feel like if I remember, he hit like 3 threes in the first 3 possessions of the game for Charlotte.
Yeah,
He
did.
started the season. He just came out firing, and they were all falling.
Something crazy, and like maybe a future trivia question or something. Because I looked this up recently. He had 27 points that night. It was his first ever game against.
I think
it was
we
the Bulls.
lost,
Yeah,
too.
the Bulls they were playing.
yeah, we lost.
And so I looked it up in Hornets history for a rookie. It was the most points by a Charlotte rookie other than LaMelo since
Wow.
2008, and it was DJ Augustine. Had like 28 in a game, I think.
Really?
So basically, in the past, was that 14 years, it was like the best non-LaMelo rookie performance. And I almost just had to like, come on, he's obviously been the best rookie. So
Interesting. I would have never. That's wild.
it was hot from 3 that night, no doubt.
He was.
Glad someone else was high on Laurie Markin, and I had him 4th in that draft, but we can move on from there. Anyway, so my favorite thing about the show, Josh, is as I'm realizing we talk about the draft every now and then, I'll throw in a nugget of where I had a guy like 4 years after a draft where it was very embarrassing. I was right about Josh Jackson. Anyway, all right, moving on. Josh, score update for me after episode 3.
Darian
Goodness gracious.
leads 2-1 after 3 questions.
All right, cool. We are going to go ahead with, this is a long one, so we're going to go ahead and move on to question 4. So, college with the most players, and there's really no way to ask this question, right, format-wise, but what is the college with the most players drafted by the Hornets in franchise history? Bonus points if you can name those players.
So
what
a little
college?
background on this. I spent around an hour or so digging through every player drafted in Charlotte franchise history back to 1988. And going through and finding the discrepancies on how they report it. So also to clarify on the question, when Trevor first presented the idea for this question to me, I was like, well, I don't know if I want to do this question this way because the NBA has their dumb draft rules where it's draft and trade rules where it's like, I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander put a Hornets hat on when he went up on stage, and some people consider him drafted by the Hornets, not Miles Bridges. So to clarify, I spent the time to go through and to fix all of those trade discrepancies. So it's players who were selected by the Hornets, even if it was the Hornets traded for the rights to another pick and that team picked for them, counted as drafted by the Hornets. And so other guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Dwight Powell or...
So like Kai Jones would count hypothetically
Kai
as a
Jones would
Hornets
count, yes,
pick. Okay.
as a Hornets pick. Miles Bridges would count as a Hornets pick.
That was
So
nice.
I went through
Good
to
clarification.
correct those.
Good clarification, because I do think that may help them too a little bit.
I found out a lot of interesting things about Hornets draft
You
history.
never told me how long it was until right this moment. So yes, I'm sure you found something in an
Well,
hour.
you can see where I ranked. Like I gave you
No,
a
I see
list
it.
of every college that has had 3 or more.
Yep, that was how I
players
presented it
selected.
to you as well. So that's good.
Yeah.
We didn't change much of
And
the
then
format. It looks
listed
good.
All of those players out.
Honestly, it's kind of impressive, some of these names. It really is. Like, it
Yeah.
kind of just It's just good history of draft, which is my favorite thing in the NBA. So so fascinating to see. I can't wait to read all these off. So again, don't give anything away to your opponent, but any thought process here from either of you as you're writing stuff down, because there's a lot of things you have to think about right now.
So the part I'm struggling with is before Michael Jordan, because we know Michael Jordan loves to draft the big, like if you didn't play at like Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, UConn, he's like no. So
No.
well, he at least used to be that way. So I'm having trouble to remember like the older guys because I feel like obviously that's going to play a big part into it. But yeah, the Michael Jordan thing is really resonating with me right now. I'm trying to remember everybody.
Whenever obviously no rush here, but whenever you guys get ready, if you do lock in an answer, just give me a thumbs up so that we can get this through, because this is, like I said, this one's going to take a minute. So we want to make sure we definitely have time to go through all of this question. This is definitely the longest form question there is. Josh,
well, that is the other draft question.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, a little nugget. I like it.
Yeah.
A little nugget.
That one's also kind of long form.
That's fair. How many more? There's one more multiple choice, right? Man.
There should be.
We did not. We did not include another multiple choice. That's okay.
I will find one.
Oh, okay.
I will find a way to make one.
That's fine. That's what I was thinking too. For those that are watching, Josh and I, while they're answering their question, we have a doc pulled up of all the answers and stuff, and I'm watching Josh put in multiple choice right now, and he's doing a very good job off the top of his head. So I could not have done that off the top of my head, pulling some of those names and just making it fair. So yeah, because what host would we be if you guys were the only ones that got one multiple choice? That's not fair. Oops. So all right. Little temperature check here. What are we? How close are we to writing the names down? The names is the hardest part. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I'm trying to rack my mind for
as many as you can.
Yeah,
yeah,
That's
basically.
fair. That's fair.
I do have some other nuggets of draft, random draft knowledge about the Hornets that I guess got during the draft process this year.
Before you say anything, I would give you this. I would save it for after the next one.
Yep. Okay.
Because there is one more draft question. Because if you accidentally say something and he's like,
"I don't want to spoil it," no spoilers. Yeah.
Darren, be writing down the answer before we even get to it. So I feel like for points' sake, I'm saving you potentially losing a point. So after that one, though, honestly, any draft question's fair game, or any draft nuggets fair game, because I love finding out random stuff. That's honestly one of the fascinating parts about either. I think do you tweet them from your account, or is it? I think it's your account, because every now and then I'll
just do them from my personal account. Yeah,
it'll be the most random Charlotte Hornets thing, and I go, huh. Which made the process of research harder, because I had to remember, is there any of those things that you've ever tweeted that I couldn't think of?
Fair.
I'm like, because we want it to be obscure, we want it to be fun. So
yeah.
Are we getting close to a lock-in? If not, I've got something I'll throw in that I definitely.
I have what I think is a
good conglomerate,
a relatively okay answer choice.
I'm feeling the same way.
So you both
the best I got.
You both have got
the best
a college written down, and you've given your shot at the players.
Yes,
this sounds like
yes, it could be more players, but I got
the listing.
That's my
thing.
The
players
I don't
is
think I have all the
definitely
players.
difficult. Yeah.
Yes. At
You
least try to
only
get
have
to,
you don't have to get all the players or even how many of them were drafted right for the point. You just need the college. It's just if you can go above and beyond, get the bonus point or not.
All right. I believe I am flipping back to Evan first.
I'm going first. Okay.
Yep, I believe that's right.
So again, not incredibly confident in this answer, but I think it's a little bit of the recency bias if it clears up. There we go. I think it's Kentucky. Again, that could be totally wrong, but the guys I know who were Kentucky Wildcats, P.J. Washington, Malik Monk, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, and Nick Richards. I know there's got to be some back in earlier Hornets history as well. Part of me wants to say Rex Chapman played at Kentucky. He was like the first ever draft pick by the Hornets. Did stuff for March Madness this year. He's big on Twitter. And then obviously I'm missing some more on that list as well. But
all right, Kentucky in 5. Darian, I just went with the number of players because I know.
I have. Well, I don't know if you can see, but I have UConn.
Okay.
And that is only because I remember Okafor, and I know Book Night recently, and then Kemba, and then I remember how good UConn was back in the day. Not saying that Duke, Kentucky, Carolina, Indiana, Texas, all these teams weren't good back in the day. But I'm really just thinking about like the whole Big East movement and like was it late 80s, early 90s where the Big East was like king. So there's got to be some more guys I'm definitely not thinking of in there. So that's kind of why I went UConn.
All right, I'm going to read them for fun. I'm going to read them backwards. So, with 3 players drafted, UCLA with Ryan Hollins, Baron Davis, and George Zidek, or Zedek. I'm not going to lie to you, never heard of him, so I can move on from there.
It's like 1992, something like that.
Gotcha. 3 is Duke, or Duke has 3, with Mark Williams, Vernon Carey, and Gerald Henderson.
Which, funny enough, the Hornets had never drafted a Duke player prior to Michael Jordan purchasing ownership in the team, which is just like doesn't make any sense to me.
As soon as I read those, I noticed that.
Yeah,
it's crazy because every time they're drafted by him, he always mentions that on the call, like, "Oh, you're from Duke. You're lucky I drafted."
Well, the first one was Hendo, which was like the year he purchased the team.
Yeah, Henderson was good. Shout out Gerald Henderson. He was good.
He was crazy.
Hey, leading scorer on the 7-59 team.
Yep,
14.5 points per game.
So. All right, so this next one shocked me. Indiana has 4 because Indiana in our lifetimes has not been very good at basketball compared to their prior history. But it includes Noah Vonleh, Cody Zeller, Kirk Haston, and Greg Graham. So those are the Indiana 4. We've got 2
Funny
more
thing
here.
for Greg Graham, he was drafted by the Hornets, played about 5 weeks, and then got traded away.
That's crazy.
But it was before
Nice.
Christmas of his rookie season. He was traded to a new franchise.
I'm pretty sure that's not even allowed in the CBA anymore.
Not anymore.
No,
I don't
I was going to say, it's not even allowed.
Because of that.
All right, I want to is there a
Craig
question
Graham rule.
upcoming about the drafted players from Indiana? Because if not, I have
Nope.
something.
Go ahead
Okay.
with the Indiana part. That's
So with
good
the Indiana
clarification.
guys, I found this out. The last player to be drafted as a Bobcat was Cody Zeller, Indiana. The first player to be drafted as a Hornet when the name came back was Noah Vonleh, Indiana. So we had a good stretch there in the mid 2010s of Indiana guys, and Hastings. He was the last player drafted on the original Hornets, and he was from Indiana. So yeah.
I mean, we never saw anything with Vonleh because he played a season and then we sent him to Portland for Nick Batum.
And I guess he's in Boston now.
That's right. They just
right. He's still playing
last week.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think it's
as of last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
I look back. I don't remember why he was so like. He's one of the players like recently I've looked back and I was like, I don't see it now. I mean, granted, it's now, and I know what he ended up being. So hindsight's 2020, but it was just like he was good, but it wasn't like ninth pick. But wasn't that the bad draft? Like everybody was
2013.
bad in that draft.
Yes, he was.
That was the one I remember. It like it was before like the Woj and Shams got fast with reporting the trades, and so they walked up there and we had traded the pick, but nobody had like reported that yet, and we took Doug McDermott from Creighton, and it had actually been traded away at the time.
Sorry, I had to look it up because I felt bad mispronouncing the guy's name. Kirk Haston.
Yeah.
That was the
I
last
couldn't pronounce it either, so that's good clarification.
Hornet. Yeah, and he was from Indiana as well. You're right. It's weird. Like, who's the best Indiana player in the probably Victor Oladipo?
Yep. In the
Probably
current era.
probably Victor Oladipo.
Because Romeo Langford was supposed to be like, but then nothing, literally nothing. But I remember
the best one at Indiana was Cody Zeller.
yeah, the best one at Indiana. Cody Zeller was crazy at Indiana. So
yeah. That's interesting, all the Indiana basketball nuggets that I don't think we'd ever talk about in our show's history otherwise. I love Indiana basketball, though. I'm glad that they're coming back. So, all right. Unfortunately for Darian, UConn is the next one on this list. James Bouknight, Kemba Walker, Emeka Okafor, and Scott Burnell are next on that list. Burrell, sorry. Burnell.
So in there.
Burrell,
I was
excuse
hoping
me.
for 2 more, and it's only 1 more. Dang it.
Unfortunately. Yep, there is one more that is not the correct answer. The last one that is not correct is UNC with 4. Again, learned some things in this process. This is the one that surprised me. Only 4, and the names are shocking. PJ Hairston, Raymond Felton, Sean May, and J.R. Reed. Neither here nor there. All right, and then the correct answer for Evan getting a point is Kentucky. Kentucky, and I'm going to go through them. You are going to not, unfortunately, get a bonus point. You were very close, though, with 5. It was 7 in all time. I'm glad Josh did the clarification because the number was still 7, but who they were was the correct part of it. Kentucky had P.J. Washington, Nick Richards, Malik Monk, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Jamal McGlure, Tony Delk. Tony Delk was the fun one, and Rex Chapman. That was a heck of a pull on Rex
Because
Chapman.
Chapman was, yeah.
Yeah, he was. That was a heck of a pull.
Yeah,
I
he
really
was the first
was not-
ever, the first pick ever.
Mm-hmm.
I would never. I can't remember. I remember Delk, but I don't remember Chapman being Kentucky for some reason. So that's a heck of a pull. 7 big gap there between Kentucky and North Carolina for those two. So correct.
He hasn't
all around
drafted
there.
a UNC guy since PJ Hairston. I mean, if that was the last Carolina guy I drafted, it would have scared me off too.
Yeah, I would have been hurt by that one.
Oh boy! All right, Josh. Score update, and let's roll to question 5.
We're all knotted up 2-2.
All right. I like how this is interesting through halfway almost.
All right. So right before we hit the halfway point of halftime, one player in Charlotte Hornets franchise history has been elected to all defensive first team. Who was that player? And you can receive a bonus point if you can tell me what year he did it. So one player in Charlotte Hornets franchise history has been named to NBA all defensive first team. Name that player and a bonus point if you can tell me what year he did it. I was honestly looking at this just happy that we've had someone on all defensive first team, to be perfectly honest.
That was also my conclusion. I was very happy to see that there was an defensive selection. So it's impressive. It's a hard team to make. It really is. You've got to be a top 10 defender in the league.
Top 5 defender in the league.
Well, they do a second team now. I mean, yeah, for
but this
team,
is for who made all of the.
That's true.
We've had a few guys on the second team.
Really? Okay. Yeah, like I said, I wanted to learn something in this process, and this is one of the episodes I learned quite something because I was very intrigued by some of these answers. And for those that are new here, Josh brings them to me, and I bring them to him, and we see which ones are the best. We try to come up with more than 10, narrow them down, etc. And I did not get this one right. I don't even think I was in the right zip code. Like it was bad. So this is a really good one, and I'm glad we used this one. I learned a lot on this question.
Now you got me second guessing my answer. I went with what I think. I don't know.
Trust your gut.
Same. I'm second guessing myself too.
All right, you guys both have a name and a year.
I do have a name and a year. Yep.
Unfortunately.
Right. And it was not Kelly Oubre in 2022, right?
I saw a stat today was like he was like top 20 worst defender. I
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, and it feels like it's. I don't want to get too far into it. Like, man, he's bad, but like it's not like he's just like physically
it doesn't seem
can't.
that bad.
He's like just like in his head, I think.
Yeah,
but he's maybe
Steve Clifford could.
He's
help
playing
him out.
the 3 and D game without the D. He's just walking,
Just
running
three.
up and down the
Yeah.
court,
throw it up,
hitting those.
He's the classic. And he played like intramural or whatever at college, like the guy who doesn't go inside of the 3-point line on either end of the floor.
I don't mean to bash Kelly. I loved having him on the team this past year.
I did too, man.
I thought he
was good.
Yeah, he was like honestly an incredible 6th man for us.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure.
Yeah, I went to the Nuggets game on the 28th, and I promise you, I tried to be really good with scouting some guys I haven't seen in person either ever or again or something like that, and I promise you, I don't think I watched a single minute of Kelly Oubre. So it's okay. He definitely, it's okay. He was really good. Honestly, I really enjoyed him, but I was more worried about the other 8 or 9 people on the floor at any given time. So, all right, I think we are ready for a lock in here soon.
Yeah. So let's go over to Darian first with this one. Darian, what you got?
All right, I think my year is off, but I was just guessing, and my player is probably off too. But I'm going Gerald Wallace, 2008.
All right, okay. Gerald Wallace, 08. Evan.
Yeah.
So I also went with Gerald Wallace, if you can see it there. But I went 2010, which was the year they got to the playoffs for the first time since they came back. It was the year he was an all-star.
Oh, Coach Larry Brown. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that season. So good for both of you guys. The correct answer is Gerald Wallace. Gerald Wallace did make all defensive first team. And the season was 2010. Evan gets that correct and gets the extra point to pull up 4-3. He nailed it on the head.
He did.
To be fair, my what's it called? What I said earlier about being in the wrong zip code was not to throw anyone off. I'm not a Hornets fan, as people who might not be watching. I'm wearing a Buzz City shirt, as Josh made the joke, but I learned something about this episode, and this was the one I was like, wow, I would not have gotten the year or even remotely close on the player because I don't remember Jared Wallace being that stout of a defender. Like I remember him being a good defender, but that was like I remember him being like a bucket getter. He was that bucket getter guy. Again, I also might get him mixed up with Steven Jackson a lot because those are same era, same type of player. Whatever. Steven Jackson was not a stout defender. So he was the opposite of Jared Wallace.
Around that era, I mean, Gerald Wallace had a season where he was the NBA steals leader.
Yeah, I know. And
he did.
That was a good refresher once you told me that because I'm like, yeah, that's right. It wasn't this year like you told me, but
no, I think it might have been 08. It was a little earlier that he was the steals leader.
It's just too bad they ran into Dwight Howard in the playoffs first round.
That Magic team was ridiculous, man.
Yeah, they were, dude.
They were.
Quick, I mean, I don't know how y'all feel about it.
Howard Nelson.
Like not getting on the 75. Like Dwight Howard, dude, people... Because he's not been like a star in a long time. Oh, no, I agree.
He should have been on the 75.
And people forget how good he was, man. Like when we were growing up, he was the best center in the league. Mm-hmm. Like that guy, he got him to the finals.
Yep.
He
like,
really
as
was
center,
like the best center since Shaq at the time.
Modern era.
The last big man, I would say, who like carried a team to the finals. Because ever since then, it's been like LeBron, KD, Steph, Kawhi, Giannis. Like, I guess Giannis, you could call him a big man because he's so tall, but he's not really a center. Like
he took the European style where how to dribble and changed it.
I feel like people sleep on Dwight because he's been a role player for a long time now, and he's like kind of goofy off the court.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with it. But that was it 1 in 4 out. That was a great offense that worked for them. If
Jameer Nelson,
if he was like Jokic, imagine if he could pass like Jokic. Like that would have been maybe not even Jokic, like Divock or something.
Rashard Lewis and
Rashard Lewis,
and like Mikhail something. I don't know.
They got Vince. Mikhail Petrus.
Yeah, Mikhail Petrus.
Yeah. They had Vince Carter for a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I remember Mikhail Petrus just hitting corner 3 after corner 3 for us that whole series.
That's right.
He just hit over and over again.
Josh, my takeaway from the halfway point is that we've now done 4 trivia showdowns, and guess who's been named 3 times, name dropped at least 3 times? Jameer Nelson has. We've done, to be clear, we've done this trivia, Charlotte Hornets, we've done Celtics, we've done NBA history all time, and we've done college basketball, and he has been name dropped 3 times.
So the only one he wasn't name dropped in was NBA history all time.
So, at the halfway point, we've done this every time. This is always really fun to see the format, how this plays out for your answers. But I'm going to start with Darian. In 3 words, how are you feeling?
3 words.
So 1 word now, 3 words.
Sadly, no, very overwhelmingly sad. I don't even know if those words go together, but that's how I'm feeling.
I love
right
the three format is so good because you like really on the fly have to think. It's like
that
was the hardest you've ever thought for 3 words in your life. You're like very over. Never mind. All right, whatever Darian said. Darian said, Evan, 3 words. How do you feel?
Ceiling is roof.
There we go.
Ceiling. I had to cut it down to 3. So.
We're inspiring words
why waste
from our
time say lot words when few word do trick? Kevin
Malone. That's my favorite segment, Josh, is the how many words can we get them for how few words can we get them to answer in, so with how they're feeling. It's been great. Honestly, those have been some of the best responses this whole series. It's been
that's the best. Like nobody else gave good answers like that. Darian, I'm sorry that this is going that you're feeling so poorly about it.
Not only because it's like I'm
Let's
close,
get a score update,
but
then.
not close. It's literally like I don't. It's like playing like baseball, and you're trying to, you're a Fenway and you're a right-handed hitter.
You got a triple, but your next 3 batters struck out, so you didn't
didn't
help you out.
Oh man, that's what it feels like. It's like, wow, if this giant green monster wasn't there, maybe I would hit more home runs. That's what it feels like.
All right, Josh. Score update as we go into the second half and keep rolling.
4-3, Evan. Evan pulled 2 points out of that Gerald Wallace question.
All right, question number 6 I find very fascinating. Josh's question, I'll be honest. Just up front with everyone. Question is, why was the Bobcat mascot named Rufus? No multiple choice. You either know it or you don't. Why was the Bobcat named Rufus?
To be fair, this was when you told me you didn't think the quiz was difficult enough, and you asked me to come up with a question that's honestly out of left field.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I try my best. I don't write notes down as much as I used to when we do this, but I also try to, like, for the filler's sake between questions, I try to have filler about something about that topic. I have nothing. So we are either in silence, and I'll edit it out, or Josh has something about Rufus.
To the Charlotte Bobcats, where the entire like thought process behind the name of the team, and probably the fact that this was the full extent to which they went to name the team should have told us about how well it was going to go. But the owner's name was Bob, and that was it. That was the full inspiration and thought process. The owner's name was Bob. And so they were like, Bobcats, easy. Like,
yeah, I did see that when we were looking that up. I was like, that's fascinating. Again, like you said, I wish we had known about the result. That is so sad to say, Josh. But hey, you called this a potential pity party the other day. So, I mean, it's okay. This can be a pity party or this can be a celebration. This is good. Things are looking up.
Things were never brighter for the Charlotte Hornets as of like February of this year. I'm not going to speak on the last 6 months that have occurred after that, but as of like February, things had never like been better as a Charlotte Hornets fan.
The curse
that's
in a long time.
A quick, you mentioned the Bobcats, like it's named it after himself.
Yeah,
I'm a big like in sports with team names. Like I really like when they have some sort of meaning for like where the team is located. Like Hornets, people don't know it's the I don't know. I feel like I might be spoiling another question.
No, I don't think so. I think you're fair.
It's the Hornets' Nest of Rebellion. It was named that during the Revolution, and so it's like
I learned something.
The city itself, yeah.
It
was General Cornwallis called Charlotte the Hornets' Nest of Rebellion, and so it's actually like has something to do with Charlotte, whereas it's not just some generic, name. Which I like.
So then why was it New Orleans Hornets?
Because they moved the team and they didn't want to spend money.
Why do you think Utah's name is Jazz?
Utah Jazz? It should be the
they were in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And how many Grizzly Bears do you know are in Memphis, Tennessee?
0. I've been there.
Wait, the mountains. What do you mean? The mountains.
They were in Vancouver, dude.
Okay.
How far the mountains are from Memphis?
That's fair. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Memphis is
how many lakes are in Los Angeles? I'm just kidding.
Memphis is as close to the Appalachian Mountains as Wilmington, North Carolina is to the Appalachian Mountains.
That's fair. Yeah, no. How many lakes are in Los Angeles? How many Clippers are in Los Angeles? How many? I mean, you could do this for every team. I feel like at this point.
Yeah.
How many Rockets are? Oh, never mind. That doesn't.
That one actually makes sense.
I was trying to do as many off the top of my head until I got to one that made no sense. So good stop there. Good stopping point. So,
I mean, how many Raptors are in Toronto?
Yeah, I know, right?
Hey, bring back the Seattle Supersonics.
Yeah,
that's what needs to happen.
Yeah,
I love it. All right, do we have some semblance of an answer? And we will be very liberal with these. If you're close enough, I will be very generous.
I'll be impressed if you get it.
Yeah. If you feel like you have it, let me know. And then if, like I said, if you are at least writing down something that's close, I will be a little liberal here and give you the point. So, Darian, are we good, or Evan?
I have an answer, but
all right.
Again,
Josh, who is it now?
Evan.
It's my turn. Okay. So I'm going off the theme of Robert Johnson naming the team after himself. Essentially, I think Rufus was named Rufus because it was Robert Johnson's pet cat's name. If we can see it here on the screen.
That's really good.
That is a good guess. I like that.
This is going to be the most random answer we ever get.
Having a little like a pet cat named Rufus, and hey,
okay,
that sounds like a good name.
I like it.
This might be the most unique freeform we've ever done. This is so good.
All right, so for me, around the time they named the team, there was a popular show on TV. I went with Kim Possible. The Rufus, the Naked Mole Rat. I feel as though that's close. That's the most famous Rufus I know, personally. I don't think I know anyone else famous named Rufus, or maybe so I'm just going with that. don't tell me every time you see a naked mole rat, you think Rufus.
I do.
I do.
So it's just like,
Okay.
oh,
Not
naked
wrong.
mole
let
rats
me
and
just-
Rufus.
I really appreciate that poll.
I appreciate both of these
Saying.
answers.
I know that you know that's not correct, but I really
because I didn't know at all.
appreciate the
So I was
poll.
like, it's gotta
He
be.
said, "I know you know that's not correct." Well, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and say this, and I'll get the answer. I'll rip the Band-Aid off. You're both going to be disappointed with the complexity of this answer. You both went very complex, and I really appreciate that. You're both going to be very disappointed, and everyone listening is going to be very disappointed by the complexity of this answer.
I think it's a cool answer.
It is, but compared to what they gave, it's pretty boring. Anyway, all right. The answer, unfortunately, neither of you are getting a point. I, again, tried to be in the ballpark. You both went way out of the ballpark. So the answer is the mascot's full name is Rufus D. Lynx, which is the scientifically correct name for a bobcat. Lynx Rufus.
That makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes a lot more sense.
Boring compared
This
to
is
boring
a
compared to
podcast.
Kim Possible and the owner's cats. I mean, I think that was probably the best possible answer we could have given. So, all right, well, Josh, we don't need a score update because it's the same as it was one question ago. I didn't think, again, this one should have probably been 10th if we were really going like we did prior with, easiest to hardest.
Well, no,
I think
but
they're all pretty
it was
hard,
kind
so.
of unfair. So
Yeah, it was.
they were in the middle.
You are up with question number 7.
All right, here's our other draft question. So this is, I'm going to admit, playing very much off of my disappointment as a Hornets fan at times. How many NBA All-Stars were drafted the very next pick after a Charlotte Hornets selection in NBA draft history? How many NBA All-Stars were drafted the very next pick after the Hornets in NBA history? It does not matter who the Hornets selected, whether that was a good pick or not. But how many All-Stars were selected? Bonus point if you can name those players. I'm just throwing that
The
in. 'cause
players
I'm
that
gonna
Charlotte
list those.
got, or the players that became the All-Star?
The players that became the All-Stars.
Okay.
That they passed on by one pick.
I have a feeling that people are going Charlotte. Sorry, let me clarify. I have a feeling Charlotte Hornets fans are going to want to click off or like skip forward. Timestamps will be below. You can click the question 8 if you'd like. Just, this one's not very fun, but for anyone involved that's a fan. But this is a really good question, Josh. I have to applaud you again. Not taking credit for any of these questions that Josh brought to the table here. This is a very good question. So.
I spent a lot of time scrolling through draft.
Yeah, I believe it. Luckily, we have a thing that's completely free of charge, other than the stat head part of it. Basketball Reference. Shout out to Basketball Reference. You can.
Yeah, I didn't use it.
Okay, wow. I'm gonna have to cut that out. I definitely just gave them a shout out for a sponsor, and you said I didn't use it. So, do you want to throw a sponsor shout out for anybody that might have done it?
No.
Okay, never mind. Anyway, I tried.
And to also be clear, once again, this is all the way back to 1988. So every pick back to that point in time.
The wheels are
A lot of
turning.
thinking going on.
This is good.
My thing is, I can remember a lot of drafts where like a couple picks after, but
Yeah.
the immediate next pick is what's throwing me off.
Mhm.
It's there was a reason I prefaced with if you're a fan, you should probably look away.
Yeah, it hurts even thinking about it, to be honest.
I thought it would be unfair to do more than just the one pick after. That would be a little unfair.
Yeah, for sure.
Because like 14
Number might
teams
be
passed on Giannis. Like
right.
That seems like a stretch.
and he's better than every player that was in that draft.
That's true. That seems like a stretch of a potential point for that to count. But yeah,
42
either way.
teams, 42 different picks before Jokic.
Yeah.
In the middle of a Taco Bell commercial. Yep.
Yeah.
Is this one where if we both are wrong, closest to the, it's like
No.
either you get it or you don't?
You get it or you don't. If
Okay,
you get
yeah.
the number, just the number right, you'll get a point.
It's a good clarifying question. That's how we've done the format the entire show, except for that first question. That first question was semi-experimental, we've never done that before with the wins thing of a team. I thought that was fascinating how many wins a team might have. So if you've done the Celtics, I'm curious what that number would look like. That's the other team we've done. So I'm going to look that up now, actually.
Celtics numbers got to be 5,000, 6,000 something.
Boston
7,000 or
Celtics all-time
8,000.
wins. For the guy that comments on Twitter about the keyboard typing, you can get over it. 35-13 all-time.
Oh,
Yeah.
lower
They've
than
played.
I thought.
They've played 5,950 games, and Al Horford is the picture that pops up on StatMuse. Shout out StatMuse.
Al Horford.
Well, so fun fact about StatMuse that people that might not know. Again, this is totally. I would love StatMuse if you want to sponsor an episode. Feel free. But every time you refresh, they give you a new picture of a player. It's just the most fascinating thing. So I sometimes when I'm bored, I will literally I'll look up stats. I'm doing research for stuff, and I'll just refresh the page every now and then. And Al Horford popped up again. So I guess it's not that interesting. Okay, maybe this one doesn't do that. Al Horford 3 times. I've tried to fill with Boston Celtics and StatMuse history here, but it did not work. All right, let's see. Where are we in terms of where do we think we are close wise? We think we're in the ballpark?
I think I'm wrong, but I think I have a good estimate.
I love how brutally honest people.
I'm in the same boat.
This series.
Yes,
I think
Darian.
I'm wrong, but
It's like I kind of know the answer, but I don't want to know the answer as far as how many. So it's like my brain's not allowing me to
This
it
is
can't
true.
be that number, because if it is that number, why are you putting yourself through this every year? So it's like in that part of my brain where it's like I just can't quite allow myself to go that deep.
all right, Josh, where are we? Who's up again?
I think Darian
I believe
first.
that's
So
right.
Darian, give us your number and how many players the names of the players you wrote down.
All right. So the only player I could think of off rip is Bradley Beal. And we talked about that earlier, and that was just because that one was one of the ones where I really wanted Bradley Beal, so that's why I remember it. But my player is 7. I have 7. I had a bunch of numbers,
Okay.
but I ended up going with 7. 7 isn't too many, but it also is enough to be like, all right, they should reevaluate
that's tough.
How they
many
draft.
times. Yeah, they should reevaluate the scouting department.
Which I'm sure they probably have. All right, Evan.
So I went a little lower than Darian did. I went with 5.
Okay.
I was kind of going back and forth. So I was trying to get the exact players. I had Bradley Beal. I was going back all the way to the Adam Morrison draft, and I couldn't remember if Brandon Roy went immediately after him or not. But that was the only one. And then a lot of these guys, it's like, like Klay Thompson and Kawhi came out the same year as Kimba, but they, like Kawhi was 15th and Kimba was higher than that. He was 9th. You had other guys in other years where it wasn't like the immediate pick after the guy also did not really pan out.
Close, no
So
cigar. Yeah.
5 felt like a reasonable number.
Almost same logic as Darian, where it's basically like, if it is that high, so sad, but at the same time, I got to get the question right. So, all right, Josh, rip the Band-Aid off. I would go backwards if I was you.
So even I think it's more like the most interesting ones are the ones in the middle, so I don't really know a way to.
That's true. That's true.
So even sadder, the correct answer is 6. You guys got right around the outside of it. There were 6 players, and I'm going to kind of go through the history of it. So the most recent one was Bradley Beal. So luckily we haven't done this since 2012. Now I have looked at some recent names. We drafted a player directly before Tyler Hero was selected, and some other ones nearby that could change in the future. In 2012, the Hornets took Michael Kidd-Gilchrist out of Kentucky, and Bradley Beal would go to the Wizards next. The next time was 2008. So in the 2008 NBA draft, the Charlotte Hornets took DJ Augustine, 9th, out of Texas. At number 10, the New Jersey Nets would take Brooke Lopez out of Stanford. The very next pick, who would go on to be an all-star. Probably the most painful one is this happened twice in the 1996 draft to the Hornets. At 13, they would select Kobe Bean Bryant out of Lower Merion High School and trade him for Vlade Divac. They would select Tony Delk, 16th, out of Kentucky. Pick 14 immediately after Kobe Bryant was Peja Stojakovic to the Sacramento Kings, who would be a 3-time All-Star from 2000 to 2002. And after Tony Delk immediately was Jermaine O'Neal, selected by the Portland Trailblazers, who would go on to many All-Star appearances with the Indiana Pacers. These last 2, they don't have to feel too bad about because they got arguably a better player ahead of the All-Star that was drafted. In 1992, they selected Alonzo Mourning 2nd out of Georgetown. The 3rd pick would be Christian Laettner of Duke, going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And in 1991, with the 1st pick, they would take Larry Johnson. The next pick after the New Jersey Nets would be Kenny Anderson, who would also go on to be an All-Star.
Quite a fascinating list.
The other
Quite
one
a
I
fascinating
thought
list.
was Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah,
But
that was
we picked Malik Monk 2
his
picks before
11.
Donovan
Yeah,
Mitchell,
Oh.
not the pick before. Luckily.
yeah.
Yeah, because in the prerequisite research, you I think had that one written down because off the
I
top of your head
thought
it
that
felt right.
was. I
Yeah.
didn't remember. For the Adam Morrison draft, the way it happened, Evan, you were very close.
Yeah, I was
Brandon
actually
Roy
just
went
looking it
5th.
up. Yeah.
Tyrus Thomas went 4th immediately after
Okay.
the Hornets selection.
So that was another
Bobcats
one of
selection.
those where, yeah.
Tyrus
Yeah,
Thomas.
the Bulls also missed.
Yeah. Tyrus Thomas is quite a name, honestly. Diehard Bulls fans, you say that name, you might get in a fight in a bar.
I still think Adam Morrison would have worked out if his knee hadn't exploded like a year and a half in.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's my
Hey,
opinion.
he ended up getting some rings. So
Yeah, but not with
for
us.
him, it worked out. Have you
Yeah,
guys
the
ever
90
heard the
96 is tough.
not to just like come on here and slander Adam Morrison, but the stories from people, they'll say like he was just like totally nasty. Like he had like the
Really?
worst hygiene. Yeah, they said
Oh,
he, like,
yeah.
I
They
can
said
see
he
that,
was
yeah.
bad.
he would like
yeah.
dip all the time. He wore like the same 2 shirts.
Like, use your
He,
contract,
like,
bro.
wouldn't shower
Actually
after
makes
the
a lot of
games.
sense.
Like,
I can see all of that. Yeah.
yeah.
That's fascinating. Yeah, the 96 one is perplexing because that I think arguably is one of the best draft classes of all time. And even for that to be the case at the 13th pick, now granted, not a horrible pick. Obviously, the trade is what we're referring to there. But, to get like the Peja thing and the Jermaine O'Neal thing to happen in like the late lottery and outside of the lottery, that just shows you the strength of that draft. That draft was unbelievable. So that is a testament more to that draft than it is to the Hornets' history in that frame there. For that,
Yeah, I mean,
happening
to
there.
be honest, when I was going through it, I felt a little better because like
Oh, yeah.
we haven't missed on an All-Star in 10 years
Yeah,
yet.
that's right.
Depending on how some of the other, like some of the younger guys haven't been in the league long enough to end up being an All-Star.
I was looking at some of the recent ones like a few days ago, and it's not bad. That was a good one when you said Tyler Hero. The PJ Tyler Hero thing is close. I would rather have Tyler Hero, but it's like, I don't know. It's like in the moment, it's like, it's not that bad. But yeah, it definitely could turn out to be, like you said, another All-Star situation. But they've done a better job recently, a lot better job.
All right, Josh, let's get a score update for us.
Still 4-3.
All right. We're going to roll right into question number 8. The finale is going to be a lot of fun, so I want to get through the next couple pretty quickly here. Question 8. Kemba Walker is the all-time points leader in Charlotte Hornets history with 12,009 points. Obviously, we can't do Charlotte Hornets without Kemba Walker, right? We've made it this far. Who, however, is the next highest active player on the list of Charlotte Hornets all-time points leaders? If Kemba Walker is first with 12,009, who is the next active player? This is the multiple choice that we decided to, we forgot, roll with. A is Nick Batum, B is Terry Rozier, C, Cody Zeller, or D, Miles Bridges. Again, Kemba is the all-time leader with 1,209. Who is the next? 12,000. Yeah, thank you. 12,009. Who is the next highest active player? Nick Batum, Terry Rozier, Cody Zeller, or Miles Bridges?
Is this in with the Hornets or just in their total career?
Just with the
Hornets.
Okay.
Good question. I, too, should have asked that question whenever Josh sent this to me because got it wrong, and I should have probably asked that as well.
You picked some player that played like 40 games with Charlotte, I think. I don't remember who it was. It wasn't any of these players on this list.
Right in y'all's wheelhouse. Time that you were a fan, maybe time that you would have been covering the team for some media outlet.
2 players still play for Charlotte.
2 players that still play there. Yep. All, I would say, are, I wouldn't say legends per se, but like all Hornets standouts.
Legends.
I was about to say the word legend, and then I'm like, I need to be part of the movement that people started where it's like we use the word legend way too much, and the Bill Russell thing kind of started that. Yeah. I want to help. I want to help that narrative, so I'm trying not to use the word legend as much as I use.
I don't know if Nick Batum's Hornets career really falls in the legendary category.
When I think of him as a Blazer, yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I did live in the state that he played in for my entire life, so it's just I can remember him in a Hornets jersey.
Fair.
I mean, it is.
I just never will get over that he found out he got waived like on Twitter.
Oh yeah,
it's happening to players increasingly more.
Yeah,
it really is.
I can't imagine.
They're like, wait, I got traded.
Yeah.
Tough.
Calling your agent, Woj says I got traded. Did I get traded?
Isn't that what happened with the Kenny Atkinson thing? Like we didn't know, or was that like a
Yeah,
like
Woj
Yep,
announced
we covered
that's
that.
when our front office found out
yeah?
he wasn't coming.
They were like, "What?"
Yeah.
I still
Tough.
go back to, I think I remember the All-Star game that was in New Orleans, and
Oh,
DeMarcus
where Boogie
Cousins
got
was doing
traded?
the post-game scrum, and a reporter asks him about getting traded, if he had heard about getting traded to New Orleans, and he was like, "What?" And then you can see his agent lean into the frame and start whispering in his ear.
Didn't he say something to the effect of like, "No, I love it here. This has been a great weekend."
Yeah,
I'm
that was
super
after
excited."
his agent whispered in his ear. He's like, "I love New Orleans, man."
Super. The
They
press
literally
is so
changed-
interesting.
They changed that because of that, didn't they? The trade deadlines before the All-Star break, so that wouldn't happen again.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
'Cause they
how
were like,
quickly they
"Never
changed
again."
CBA for stuff like that. They update
Yeah.
stuff as soon as they get the chance when it's time. It's like,
Right.
hey, we don't want this ever. Now, granted, I do think it'd be really funny. Just 1 year, this will never happen. This is just a fun thing I've always thought. I would love for them to just be able to say whatever they want within reason 1 year. Just let them say, don't have an agent, don't have a media guy. You all fire them for a year and just see what happens. I think
See what happens.
the NBA Twitter is already fascinating.
Kyrie already does that. I mean,
Yeah, Kyrie already does that for sure.
Been
Okay,
doing
but
that.
like these guys don't need them. I mean, it's nice to have these guys that help them with the media, but they don't need them.
I swear KD definitely doesn't listen to his publicist. I don't think that's
No, not at all.
I don't think that happens either.
Boy, yeah, he does not. All right, are we ready to lock in an answer
Yes.
for the sake of making sure the finale gets plenty of time? All right, who is up, Josh? I believe I got that wrong again last time, so I think it's Evan.
I forget.
I think it's Evan. We'll go with Evan.
All right. Went back and forth on this one a little bit. I ended up locking in on Terry Rozier
Okay.
only because he's been here. I just went through the years they've been with the team. Miles Bridges was with the team, the year before Terry, but that was Miles's rookie year. Terry's a guy who, for everything with him as a player, like he scores, like that's kind of his
Scary
wheelhouse. Obviously that 2020 year got cut short because of COVID. But he was the leading scorer on the team that year, I believe, and put up, he's basically been right around 20 points a game the whole time he's been in Charlotte. Batum really kind of fell off near the end. Cody Zeller was never really a big, scoring threat, I would say. I mean, he'd have his moments, but he wasn't getting points like that. And Miles, again, like really broke out last year, led the team in scoring, but before that was kind of, would have his moments again, but like wasn't consistent. I think Terry's kind of been basically like 18, 19, 20 points a game, like the whole time. And I felt like that probably added up to reflect itself in this.
Darian?
I also had Terry Rozier. I don't know if you see it, but
Scary Terry.
yeah, Scary Terry. Just because of a lot of the things that Evan said, we know Terry Rozier is just a scorer. That's what he does. And he's just always been super consistent. That's one thing you're gonna get from Terry. He may go like through. I know last season wasn't when he first came back. He struggled a lot, and a lot of people were worried about Terry Rozier. He looked at it at the end of the year and was like, "Wow, this is exactly who he is. It's another Terry Rozier season, despite how bad it looked at the beginning, where people were like he can't hit a shot." So Terry Rozier, super consistent scorer. And recently, I saw something that where he's always guarding like the other team's like best ball handler or something. And he actually doesn't do that bad, but it's just like when you're guarding the top point guards every single night, it makes you look bad, but he's actually not terrible. If he literally had any defensive help, I think it would make him look a lot better on defense, but that's besides the point.
All right. They're both good answers. Unfortunately, they're not correct.
No.
The correct answer is Cody Zeller. Cody Zeller is the second
has to be time,
highest.
right?
It's got to be
active-
time because he was here. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cody
Zeller is
was
the
a
second
Hornet from
leading scorer.
2013 to 2021. Terry has only been a Hornet since 2019, so Cody had a 6-season head start.
Six-season head start.
And I think he's only the number of points each.
You want to see
Cody
how far
has,
ahead he is.
Cody has 4,051 career points as a Hornet. Terry will pass him this season because Terry has 3,949 in his 3 seasons.
Oh my goodness.
Wait, so he was. Can you repeat that one more time?
Cody has 4,051. Terry is 3,949. So he's 102 points behind Cody Zeller
so
as an all-time scorer.
He's like 5 games, 6
yeah,
games.
exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Then Miles Bridges was the next amongst active players, 3,893. And Nick Batum next amongst still active players, 3,728.
I'm upset because y'all.
For fun to anyone, the second highest player all time is Del Curry.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
I think I probably could have come up with that eventually, yeah. All right. No score update because obviously nothing changed. So, Josh, whenever you're ready for question number 9.
All right. So this is actually a question that the very first Trivia Showdown question we asked to our all-time NBA history contestants. It's changed a little bit in the way that I phrase it. Since prior to Adam Silver retiring the number 6 across the NBA, as he did last week in honor of Bill Russell, the Charlotte Hornets had only ever retired one player's number in franchise history. Who is that player?
Okay, so for those of you watching, I'm going to talk this out for those of you listening. Evan wrote it down before Josh finished the question. Darian is currently tapping his hat. So this might be a deficit turner. This might be actually I don't know what the score is. So this might be a deficit increaser because I think Evan's up. But is it 4-3? Is that right, Josh?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. See, I can remember. I just don't write it down. So Darian's thinking, like I said, no time limit here. I'm not.
There are now 2 numbers retired in Charlotte. Number 6 now going to be retired as it is across the NBA.
And interestingly, so Jalen McDaniels will be the last person ever to be number 6 for Charlotte.
Yeah.
Such an odd thing. Yeah. Well, so even funny. So that's funny you say that. Alex Caruso will be the last Bull. That was the one that made me giggle the most.
Oh, yeah.
I was on Twitter and I'm like, wow.
Because the tweets, like the Shams and Woj tweets, it was like current players wearing number 6, such as LeBron, will be grandfathered in. So like it was like he was clearly a move for LeBron. But then because of that, Alex Caruso and Jalen McDaniels get to keep their number 2.
I'm just glad that they did it that way, though. I really am. Because somebody on our TikTok, actually, if he's listening, somebody on our TikTok commented was like, I can't stand the rule. I can't believe they did that and making people change the current number 6s. And I'm like, they didn't clarify or whatever. And he was like, he's like, oh, really? Wow, I was misinformed, whatever. And he was like, thank you, sir. And I was like, you're welcome. Please follow. Thanks. So I was like, glad we could be your news source. It was really funny.
Funny other tidbit. The only reason LeBron has ever worn number 6 is because when he went to Miami, he showed up and number 23 had already been retired by the Heat in honor of Michael Jordan.
So he just switched to 6.
We were going to ask that. I was going to ask them if you didn't do that now. So I was going to ask them because we've asked everyone else. It's like, hey, who was the first jersey ever retired by the Miami Heat? And most people have said Alonzo Mourning, and it's actually Michael Jordan. Did either of you know that already?
Yeah, just because I used to really like Dwayne Wade's.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's so cool. I'm glad none of us knew. Like I didn't know that. Josh didn't know that. And then what people we've asked no one's ever known that. So it's cool that you both did. I thought it was honestly top 3 most interesting NBA fact ever for me. I didn't know it like at all. Thought that was.
I remember people when LeBron before he left Cleveland, he said he was going to change his number to 6. And when he said that, people were like, "Oh, he's got to be going to the Heat." Like I remember that like being a thing because they were saying that he couldn't wear 23.
Yeah. I think Miami. The Bulls were in the running at the time too, though, so it could have been just.
Oh I forgot about that. Yeah,
it just all I remember was it was like the Knicks fans were disappointed because they were supposed to be the 3rd team in that running and they got ruled out so quickly as the option.
Fast. And they ended up getting Amari Stoudemire, who unfortunately had the injury issues.
Yeah,
Carmelo came close after.
Yeah.
Carmelo still should have went to the Bulls. I don't care what anybody said. He still should have went to the Bulls. That was like the easiest
thing. Yeah. They traded the farm for Melo, and like all he would have had to do was just wait and go there as a free agent. Right. And I get like they would have had to probably give up something to create the space to get him, but they just traded a ton for him.
All because he went to Syracuse or for New York at least. Which his run at Syracuse was insane. Especially like
national champion
just coming in and just dominating the way he did.
Yep, national champion in 03. Melo's my 3rd favorite player of all time, so it's a fascinating thing. I try to know every single fun fact about Melo, and the Knicks thing is quite the debacle that they literally were like, nah, we'll give up 4 pieces for him in a pick. That's okay.
Cornerstone pieces of that trade were, I think, Gallinari and Will Barton.
Yeah, very interesting cluster of players there. All right, I know Evan has an answer for sure. Darian, do we have an answer ready?
No, I know. I remember why his number is retired, but I can't remember his name.
Well, we're gonna go over why, so that's good. No point for that, unfortunately. But if you can pull the, do you have anything?
Yeah.
Do you have anything down?
No, because I didn't want to get his. Because of why I didn't want to get his name.
Okay.
Wrong.
All right. Well, let's just get this out of the way. Evan, I think you probably have it based on the logic.
Forget my to hold it up.
Bobby Phills.
Bobby Phills.
Dang it. I knew the number and everything.
Shout out to his son Trey, who's currently a G Leaguer and a professional player in Sweden. But Josh, go ahead and give the little backstory for those who don't know.
Yeah, the correct answer is Bobby Phills, and number 13, as Evan wrote down there as well. So Bobby Phills was brought into Charlotte. He'd been brought in a trade, I think, the year before. He hadn't been in Charlotte very long, and ended up dying in a car accident while following behind another member of the team at over 100 miles per hour. Coming back from a workout or something, I think, at one point. And the Charlotte Hornets at the time, I think this was 2000, 2001. It was early 2000s, retired his jersey in his honor following that point in time.
Obviously, that number is going to change, but a fascinating fact nonetheless, and a great reason that they did it, obviously. So, score update for us, Josh.
5-3, Evan.
All right. Darren, you have a chance to get one here, and then they're anybody's game, because even if you're down 2 or 3 in this final with the coaches, with the potential finale, I think you'll be good here. So, all right, Josh, are we ready for question number 10?
Go for it.
All right. So we've talked about the history all the way back to 1988. So we're going to go back to the very first game. Who scored the very first basket in the history of the Charlotte Hornets franchise? No multiple choice. You either know it or you don't. 1988. First game, first basket, franchise history. And then now for question 10, based on question 9, we've flopped where everyone's thinking a little bit. Darian wrote it pretty quick. This is good. This is like the back and forth. We're getting close.
Yeah, but when you first asked me the question, you thought you had the right answer, Trevor, and you were not correct.
I did thought I had the right. That's true. This is true. Sound logic there, guys, for thinking about it a little bit before you roll into it. So, Evan and Darian, whenever you're ready, since we were very close to the finale, let me know whenever you are locked in, and we can go ahead and get rolling.
I am ready.
All right.
Yeah,
Evan?
let's do it.
All right. Quick. All right. Darian, end it off for us. I have no idea where you're supposed to go at this point.
I don't know if it's right just because I wrote it down fast, but I had Rex Chapman.
All right.
The first basket.
Previously mentioned Rex Chapman from Kentucky. Yep. Evan?
And I'm going to make it 2 for 2. I also had Rex Chapman written down because I knew he was the draft pick that year.
So Josh, hasn't happened a lot this trivia where a lot of people both write the same answer, or all three write the same answer, and it's right. It hasn't happened a lot where these guys just keep getting the same answer and it might be wrong. That's a great guess. That was what I also said. The answer is Kelly Tripucka. It was a Rex Chapman miss that Kelly Tripucka rebound and got and put it in. Shout out to Detroit Piston. I almost said legend again. See, shout out I need to come up with a better buzzword. Shout out to Kelly Tripucka. First basket in Charlotte Hornets history. So, Josh, finale score update so we can go ahead and get rolling, and you're ready to do it.
So, Evan will carry a 5-3 lead into our finale.
It's anybody's game.
So in the finale, you guys are going to have 60 seconds to write down as many answers as you can. So make sure you've got some good space. Go ahead and hold your pencils or pens in the frame. So we're going to make sure that you guys wait till we give the go and then start writing. So as we've talked about, even though the Hornets have not had a long history, the often turbulent history of the Charlotte Hornets has resulted in some very different head coaching tenures throughout the history of the franchise. Write down in 60 seconds as many head coaches of the Charlotte Hornets as you can. Evan, pin back up.
My bad. Sorry.
So everyone's done it at least once. That's okay.
Trevor, give them the go-ahead when you're ready to start timer.
You can begin.
Go.
I waited for the Zoom delay. I waited for them both to realize I said it before I hit start for the fairness of the timer. So... All right,
Trevor. We can all see Brady in the background, just looking so confused.
He's having a great time over here. Normally, he is not in the recording. So, for those of you watching on YouTube, this is my last plug of the day. If you're listening on a Spotify, Apple, please subscribe and like and rate, and then also come over and look at my adorable dog in the YouTube frame. So if you were paying attention about a minute and a half ago, I accidentally slipped up.
Yeah.
I accidentally said what we were talking about here, so you technically had a little bit of a hint before we even got into it. So enjoy that while you still have 25 more seconds. I'm trying to be better about giving you clock updates, and I've again waited till 25 seconds left. So 15 seconds remaining. Josh, how many do you think? I know we didn't really ask each other this one. We kind of just came up with this one on our own together. But do you feel like you think you would have gotten probably, what, 4 or 5? Maybe?
I think I
Five,
could have
six?
hit 6.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to get a benchmark because I don't remember asking you. I think like I said, we came up with this one together. And pencils down. Or pens down, whatever. I trust that you both, like everyone else, we trust that you aren't going to write any more down. So what we'll do, Josh, how do you want to do the format
60 seconds goes by
again?
quickly.
It does.
I think the way we've normally done it, we will go to one person and have them give us the first name off their list, and we will double check with the other person if they've written that down.
Got it.
So we'll start with Evan and just pop back and forth. Evan, what's the first name you put on the list?
All right, I had to think about this one for quite a while. Kind of had to dig deep for this one, but Steve Clifford.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, what is he about to say?
Darian, did you also put?
Do I get double points for that since it's his second?
That's what I said. I said the same
Clifford
thing.
times 2.
So Trevor
twice.
did ask me that. I said we're not going to count coaches twice because it's not the only time that we've fired and then later rehired a head coach.
Yeah.
Oh, so then
franchise
one of my
history.
other answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, I had Clifford.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, they're both going to get a point for that one. The current commander-in-chief of the Charlotte Hornets.
Commander, that's a really fascinating way to say head coach. I really like that. All right. Who's next? I would think we go Darian flip-flopping here. Yep.
Yeah, go
I
to
had
Darian.
Silas. I had Silas as the coach.
Gosh, are we
Can
counting
you give
that?
us the first name?
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, man.
I had a feeling he was going to do that. It's the finale. I got to be a little more conservative
I
with
don't
points
remember. Is it
shed here.
Phil? It's not Phil.
You lock in
I
something.
can't- I
You
see
got to
a
lock in a
P.
first name because there are two famous father and son first name head coaches that are Silas. One coached the Charlotte franchise, one did not.
Okay, so it's not the guy who coaches the Rockets now.
Good.
I can't remember.
good
I
process
see a
elimination.
P. I see a P. I'm gonna go Phil, but I don't Philip. But I don't
Okay, it's not Phil, but considering he specified it's not Steven Silas, I think we'll give him. I'm going to
All
give him
right.
that.
All right.
So it's Paul
We'll give-
Silas.
That's fair.
Oh,
I
I'm
agree.
going to give him that. He
I'm seeing P.
specified it was
Silas.
not Steven Silas, so I'll give him that.
You would see an abbreviation on Basketball
Yeah.
Reference. That's fair.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing.
P.
And I was
Silas,
like,
yeah,
I
you
cannot
got
think
it.
of his first name.
All
I'm
right.
start
Did
clicking
you also
those
write
things
down
just in
Paul
case.
Silas?
So it didn't
That
matter.
was
Good.
muted. Yep, I had him.
Yeah.
Good. No, that's good. I'm glad. I feel a little better about being liberal with the point there because Evan also had it. So who cares? Like,
That was
you both
enough.
got
He
it.
had P. Silas, and he said he specified it was
Yes.
not the other one. So I think it
That's
was
exactly
good enough
right.
for me.
Good logic. All right, Evan.
All right, the man between Steve Clifford's two tenures, James Borrego.
Yeah.
Which Borrego? I'm just kidding.
Darian, I'm assuming you also wrote James Borrego.
I also had James Borrego.
A curveball. He didn't write that. No, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine? That's like the one he
That
doesn't
would have
write
been
down.
crazy. That would have been crazy because I actually like James Borrego to an
Yeah.
extent. So it was
I
it's
think
crazy to
everyone on this podcast, I think, was quite a fan. So that's good.
Yeah.
All right, Josh. A little score update before we keep rolling.
They've each got 3 points in the bonus round so far, so it's 8-6 in favor
All
of Evan.
So
This is
Over
good
to
for
Darian.
leaderboard's sake, though. For leaderboard's
Next
sake,
name on the list.
Evan's creeping up the leaderboard. This is good.
I had Larry Brown.
Larry Brown.
Also
We
correct.
shouted out earlier in this podcast.
Shout out the
Yeah.
2010 Bobcats, man. That's a fun
Yeah.
I
time.
remember seeing. I remember actually like seeing him coach and things like that. So that's why
That guy has such a like
Yeah.
illustrious history.
Yes, he does.
basketball,
And the fact that he's on Memphis, is he still on the Memphis
Staff? Yeah.
coaching
Yeah.
staff
Yes.
now?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
is.
I remember because I was watching Imani Bates stuff. And I
Expect
saw,
Not
the
to be,
downside
like,
to
that
come
Larry
down
Brown?
soon. So.
Man,
Yeah, I was
Eastern Michigan now for Imoni Bates. Like, who would ever? I guess he's
That's-
from there, but
Yeah. Free from
Yeah.
his hometown.
well, he
right?
should have went to Michigan, Michigan State, but he ruined. Was it Michigan State? He ruined.
That's
it.
where he won.
that was
So-
he was first committed.
wasn't that where he was committed to? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
when he won like Gatorade High School Player of the Year as a
Yep.
sophomore, and it's like he's the greatest
Yeah.
high school player of all time. Thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Fun fact, not with the Charlotte Hornets, but Larry Brown is the only coach ever to both win a national championship and a NBA title. So he did not do it with the Charlotte Hornets, but
Charlotte Hornets.
hey, I have to get my digs in when I can. Okay, that was a free one.
Victory going on.
That one was free.
Of course he didn't do it with the Charlotte.
That one was free.
Too much,
Like
too
I
much
just had
victory
to.
going on there.
But
That's
funny
all
enough,
right.
he did it with the Detroit Pistons. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's like
and the Kansas Jayhawks. All right, who's next?
I'm assuming, Evan, you also got Larry Brown. We talked about him earlier.
Yeah, I had Larry Brown
Okay.
written down.
Yeah, no hesitation there. All right, Josh. I think is Evan. We're back to Evan.
Back to me.
Yep.
Bernie Bickerstaff.
Oh, that was
Yes.
a good one.
He was there. Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of the ones I pulled to you, Trevor, that you didn't remember. Bernie Bickerstaff.
Yep. Another father-son tandem, in terms of a last name in the NBA currently versus then. Good pull.
So I'm assuming, based on your reaction, Darian, you did not have Bernie Bickerstaff.
No, that's where I was.
Ooh.
That's where I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. I had those four. I had Silas, Brown, Borrego, Clifford.
Okay. Evan, how many names do you have left written down?
2 with marginal confidence.
Okay.
In those 2.
Or you can give us how many you have left. We've got the time. I just want to see.
Yeah, no, I
before
can
we
rattle
read
them off if we're
Yeah. Who's
Darian, how
next?
many do you have left? I'm just
That
curious.
was it. That was it for me. That's all.
All right.
That's as much as I can remember.
All right.
All right, so we have Clifford, Borrego, Silas, Larry Brown, Bernie Bickerstaff. I was trying to throw it back to the OG Hornets, which I was not around to watch, but was Dave Cowens ever the coach of the Hornets?
That is correct.
Celtics
And
legend. Yep.
might mispronounce Paul Westfall. Is that's
Paul Westfall is a really good guess. Unfortunately, that is not correct.
He never coached the Hornets.
He
Okay.
did not. Paul Westfall, and I'll pull up as Josh is going to get us a score update. I'm going to pull up Paul Westfall on Basketball Reference because he has a very
Appreciate
good.
it, yeah.
He has a good tenure of coaching. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
believe was he a Lakers head coach at one point or something like that.
Yeah, he was like a
think-
tenured coach or something, right? And then they replaced him with
I think we're thinking about somebody else, but let's find out.
maybe,
Actually,
yeah.
his basketball, like his player profile popped up because he was a player for 12 years in the league. Let's see. Yeah, we're thinking about someone else. So let's find out his coaching career. Josh, go ahead and give us a score update while I find it.
Onto the good old Wikipedia machine.
11-7. Have you got any more written down, Evan? Even if you don't have
That
confidence.
was it. That was the
Okay.
only ones I had left.
Cool. So the final score we'll take through here. Evan prevails 11-7, but I mean a good showing by both of you guys. Neither of you are going to be last on our all-time leaderboard for the summer.
Yep.
That still belongs to Grayson.
Mattered.
That's all that mattered. That still belongs to Grayson. Shout out Grayson with 5. I'm just going to keep taking digs at him because I know he listens.
Yep.
And it's going to bother him when he listens to it on Wednesday. And I'm going to find it funny. So let's go through. We're going to go through Charlotte Hornets coaching history. Current coach of the Charlotte Hornets, as we talked about, is now Steve Clifford in his second stint. Prior to that, from 2019 to 2022, it was James Borrego. Before him was the first stint of Steve Clifford, 2014 to 18. In 2013, the Bobcats were coached by Mike Dunlap. From 2011 to 2012, Paul Silas in his second stint. 2009 to 2011, Larry Brown. In 2008, Sam Vincent was the coach of the Charlotte Bobcats. From 2005 to 2007, with I think the worst record of any head coach in Hornets history, Bobcats history, Bernie Bickerstaff. His combined record was 77 and 169.
He said, "Sheesh."
His
Insane.
Bobcats head coach. Continuing to go down from 99 to 02, the best record as a Hornets head coach was the first time Paul Silas was around, 161 and 120. The only winning record, I think.
Back
One of
10 years
two
later.
winning records by a coach.
That's fair.
No, one of
Far
three.
back. One of three. Yep. That's all.
97 and 99, it was Dave Cowens, as Evan said. From 92 to 96, Alan Bristow. 90 to 91 was Gene Littles. And the first Hornets head coach in franchise history was Dick Harter. Dick Harter. Trevor's been dying. Darren's
I'm a
laughing.
child.
Evan is
Only because I heard him snickering before he even got.
You had to make
And
sure
then
to
when you said
enunciate
it-
that.
I
The first time
enunciated
you
it
said
very
it-
well.
I'm
I
a
was
child.
holding it in, but when you said it again, I was like, I have to laugh now.
This was used for
stuck.
a question I gave Josh throughout the season for something Hornets related.
Yeah,
and
and you said the first one, and I burst out laughing.
top 5 funniest moment in our show.
Because he didn't enunciate when he told me what the answer was.
I just said it in my old regular Southern accent. It came out quick. Sorry.
I did find Paul Westfall.
I
found his
just got
Wikipedia
it.
profile.
Just got it finally.
But
Yep.
He started off at he played for like 12 years in the league. He was
Yep.
Celtics, Suns, Supersonics, Knicks, and then back to the Suns. Played college at Southern Cal, and then he started as a coach at something. It was called Southwestern Baptist Bible College. It's now Arizona Christian University. It's a very small school
Interesting.
near Phoenix. Then he went to Grand Canyon University. Then he went to the Suns as an assistant. Then he was the head coach at the Suns. Then Supersonics. Back to college, he coached at Pepperdine. Then he coached the Mavericks. He was an assistant for 1 year. He coached Sacramento for a little bit, and then he was an assistant at the Nets for like 2 seasons. And that was it. That was the last place he coached.
Yeah, I think we're getting him mixed up with the guy on the Lakers Showtime, Paul Westhead.
Westhead.
that's
Yeah.
That's who
the
we're
only
getting
reason
him
I
mixed up
remember is
with.
because he's Marshall from How I Met Your Mother. And when he popped up, I was like, oh, it's Marshall.
He honestly was a really good job. He played a really good job on that show.
And I didn't, because he always plays like Marshall.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So when he was Paul Westhead, I was like, oh, wow, he's doing amazing.
Yeah. All right, Josh. Well, that was a lot of fun. Final score update one more time, and let's get us closed out before they, or let's get their plugs before we get closed out.
So Evan will take the victory, a score of 11-7. 4 weeks in, the all-time scoreboard, Carl Heiser still leads with 19, followed by Nick Levere with 12. Alex Cervantes now tied with Evan Birchmore for 11 in third. Ryan Hammer with 9. Tyler James at 8. Caleb Watkins and Darian Thomas tied at 7. And in last place, Grayson Hill with 5.
I had to read that last. All right, on the way out, I'll start again on the left here, and I'll go, or my left and go right. Evan, 30 seconds, plugs, things we need to know about you right now going into the season, anything content-wise, whatever you need.
Yeah, absolutely. Be sure. I'm on Twitter on the daily, so go drop me a follow. I'll follow back. It's at Evan Birchmore, EvanBirchmore. Again, I write for Swarm and Sting. I run a podcast called Bring the Sting. Both of those are linked through my profile, so just go there and you'll find those as well. Looking forward to hopefully connecting with some new faces and putting out lots of great content this season.
Darian, same thing.
All right, everyone. Once again, my name is Darian Thomas. Go to YouTube, follow me subscribe to my channel for Trust the Buzz. That's TRUSTTHE and then BUZZ. And then I'll link everything else in my description for my YouTube video. So thank you for allowing me to be on here. It was a lot of fun. Especially knew I wasn't going to win, but it was just fun because I was learning stuff too. So it was just a great time.
Job.
It was all around a good fun. You didn't come in last. That's all that matters.
That's all
right,
that
Grayson?
mattered. I was like, please not let me go in here and be last.
We're good. Hey, you had quite a couple of people to try to be ahead of, so that's good. It was a heck of a showing from both of you. We appreciate the time. Thanks again, Josh. Close us out.
With that being said, this has been the Two Pointers Podcast and another week of Trivia Showdown. I'm Josh.
I'm Trevor.
And we will see you soon.